The Galactic Council chamber shimmered with tension. The delegates of 100 worlds sat in silence as the central dais lit with the crest of the Council itself, a rotating symbol of unity that now seemed more like a mockery of peace. For decades, the humans of Earth had been the Council's problem child, defiant, unpredictable, and stubbornly independent. And today the Council had finally lost its patience. The High Speaker's voice carried through the chamber, metallic and cold. After repeated violations of trade accords, refusal to disarm orbital defense systems, and the obstruction of Council fleets in neutral sectors, we, the Galactic Council, formally declare war on the planet known as Earth. Gasps rippled through the hall. Even the insectoid emissaries of the Enthal shifted uneasily, their antennae trembling. No one had expected it to come to this. Not truly. The humans had always been troublesome, yes, but war against them was a step none had dared take until now. The High Speaker's words echoed, and for a moment there was silence. Then, as the transmission was sent across the galaxy, a faint ripple of something else was detected. Not fear, not protest. It was laughter. On the blue planet that had long been the Council's enigma, Earth's response came swiftly. A single transmission, brief and calm, traveled back through the void. Acknowledged no plea, no outrage, no surrender. Just acknowledgement across the human colonies. Military satellites turned like the eyes of awakening giants. Fleets that had been hidden behind asteroid belts came online, power signatures blooming like new stars. Earth did not scramble to prepare. It merely resumed a stance it had never really abandoned. In the war rooms beneath the surface, human commanders watched the incoming data. The Council's fleets were immense, armadas built over centuries, unified under a dozen species that each specialized in a different form of warfare. The humans examined them with clinical calm. Their moving in formation patterns identical to the Varnic campaigns of Cycle 7021, one officer noted. Predictable. They'll strike Mars first, assuming it's our forward defense line. The commander, a man whose eyes seemed carved from iron, nodded once. Then they'll find out why Mars is the last place they should have gone. The room fell silent again as the strategy unfolded. Humanity had not wanted this war, but it had been preparing for it since the moment it joined the Council. Not because of paranoia, but because of understanding. The humans had read history, their own and that of others. They knew empires never tolerated equals for long. When the first Council fleet appeared in the Sol system, they came in numbers that blotted out the stars. Carriers, dreadnoughts, bioships from the Kalari, crystalline war spheres from the Zenth, and drone hives that pulsed with alien light. The sheer mass of power seemed impossible to resist. Billions across the galaxy watched the broadcast. Certain that Earth would be crushed within hours, the Council fleet commander, a being with translucent skin and a voice like broken glass, transmitted the final warning. Earth species, you have defied unity. You have disrupted order. You stand against the collective will. You will be erased. On Earth, the commander smiled faintly. Proceed, he said. The Council's armada advanced, and the sky above Mars flared with energy as the first bombardments began. But within moments, things went wrong. Projectiles vanished mid-flight, pulled into invisible distortions. Energy weapons lost coherence. Shield frequencies flickered. And then, from the shadow of Mars, the first human counterattack came. A fleet of black vessels emerged. No gleaming insignia, no ornate hulls. Just matte surfaces that devoured light. They moved like predators through smoke. Each ship was fast, silent, and impossibly agile. They didn't broadcast their positions. They didn't answer hails. They struck with precision. The first alien dreadnought split apart before its shields could react. The second collapsed in on itself as gravity folded unnaturally. The third fell to a swarm of kinetic strikes that moved faster than light itself could track. The alien fleets tried to regroup, but their systems began to fail. Communications broke down. Targeting sensors went blind. Every attempt to adapt was countered before it began. From the human command center, analysts watched with eerie calm. They still think we're fighting with known technology, one said quietly. They don't understand. Humanity had not spent its years in the Council trading and debating for nothing. It had learned. It had studied alien systems, absorbed their sciences, and then improved them. But what it had never shared, what it had kept buried under layers of secrecy, was what it called the paradox drive. A weapon not of energy or matter, but of perception itself. It warped the probability fields around enemy ships, turning their own decisions into their destruction. As the Council fleet burned, panic spread through the higher ranks. "They are using forbidden tech," screamed a Kalari admiral. "This violates every treaty." The High Speaker's reply was grim. "Treaties mean nothing if they survive and we do not. Deploy everything." The second wave came, larger than the first. Entire planets were requisitioned as staging grounds. The Council assembled what it called the Unity Armada, 300,000 warships, enough to scour a system to dust. The galaxy watched again as the greatest force in history descended upon a single world this time. Earth did not wait for them to arrive. Hidden slipspace gates opened in the void between stars, and from them emerged human fleets across multiple sectors. Entire Council supply lines vanished overnight. Shipyards exploded. Communication relays went dark. Human special units, small, precise, and terrifyingly efficient, appeared on Council-held worlds, sabotaging fleets before they could launch. Wherever the Council went, they found humanity already there. It became clear this was not merely defense. It was strategy, an intricate pattern unfolding across light years. Every move the Council made had already been anticipated. Every attack led to a trap. Every retreat led to annihilation. A Council general, weary and desperate, whispered to his aide, "They smile when we threaten them. They act as if this is what they wanted all along." He was right. Humanity had not waited for war because it was reckless. It had waited because it was patient. The humans had observed how the Council functioned, an empire of consensus that moved slowly, burdened by politics and pride. They knew that when the Council finally acted, it would act predictably. They had built their defense not just for survival, but for inevitability. Weeks turned into months. Entire sectors went silent. The Council's authority began to fracture as worlds questioned whether Earth was truly the enemy or something beyond their comprehension. The more the humans fought, the more they revealed not power but precision. They didn't waste resources. They didn't destroy for pleasure. They dismantled only what was necessary. Every engagement ended the same way, swiftly, decisively, without hesitation. On the Council homeworld, panic had become policy. The High Speaker called an emergency summit. The chamber that once symbolized unity now echoed with fear. "We must sue for peace," one delegate cried. "They will not stop until we are nothing." "They are still human," said another bitterly. "They can be reasoned with." But even as they spoke, the chamber lights dimmed. A holographic projection appeared above them. Earth's insignia, a simple sphere of blue and green. The Council froze. A human envoy appeared, his expression calm. "You declared war," he said. "You wished to erase us. And yet you stand here now, pleading for reason. Tell me, did you think humanity would break?" No one spoke, he continued. "You wanted to test the species that survived ice ages, wars, plagues, and extinction. You wanted to measure us by your standards. You failed to see that we do not fight for conquest. We fight because you gave us a reason to remember who we are." The delegates trembled. The envoy's tone did not rise. It did not need to. "You have seen our fleets. You have witnessed our reach. But understand this, we do not seek your destruction. Not yet. We seek understanding. We want you to realize that every time you tried to cage humanity, you made it stronger. Every rule, every treaty meant to contain us became another lesson in adaptation. You built a council to control chaos. We built ourselves to thrive in it." The hologram flickered. For a moment, the envoy's expression softened. "Withdraw your fleets. End your occupation of our colonies. Leave our system. Do this and you will live to see your worlds again. Continue this war, and history will remember the Council as the last empire that thought it could tame humanity." The transmission ended. The chamber remained silent for a long time. Days later, the Council fleets began retreating, not because they were ordered to, but because the soldiers themselves refused to continue. Fear of Earth had become a contagion. It spread faster than light. Commanders abandoned posts. Worlds cut communication. Even the proudest species began sending envoys begging for truce. When the final Council flagship withdrew from Sol space, Earth did not pursue. Its fleet stood watch, unblinking, patient. Humanity had proven its point. It did not need to annihilate to win. It only needed to remind the galaxy that courtesy and restraint were not weakness. They were warnings, In the aftermath, rumors spread through the surviving fleets. They said that somewhere beyond Neptune, there was a human installation larger than a moon, that it pulsed with a light not yet catalogued by any known physics, that inside humanity was already building the next evolution of its technology. Not for war, but for what came after. The galaxy began to